어딜 지금 시간이 몇 시라고 들어가? 안 돼, 못 들어가.
백화대 누구요? 연수냐?
This was K-drama. Slow burn romance, terminal illness, chaebols in love, and then Netflix walked in. Bigger budgets, darker stories, global megahits. But here's the twist. Some fans call it an evolution. Others, a betrayal. So, did Netflix save K-dramas? Or strip them of everything that made them special? Stick around. Because the answer? It's messier than you think. Before Netflix turned Korean dramas into global blockbusters with billion-dollar budgets and edgy thrillers, classic K-dramas followed a time-honored recipe that fans knew by heart and loved religiously. Ask any longtime viewer and they'll rattle off the sacred ingredients like gospel. The emotionally constipated chaebol heir with a tragic backstory. The plucky, broke heroine juggling 10 part-time jobs and one very fragile dream. An outrageous plot twist, amnesia, terminal illness, a long-lost twin. And of course, the Holy Grail, a slow-burn romance so exquisitely delayed, a single forehead kiss could feel like fireworks on New Year's Eve. These weren't just dramas, they were weekly rituals, aired religiously on networks like KBS, SBS, and NBC, usually running for 16 to 20 episodes. No more, no less. Tightly written, meticulously censored, and wrapped in a bow of cultural tradition. No graphic violence, no steamy bed scenes, and certainly no profanity. Romance stayed sweet, painfully sweet. Grand gestures were limited to piggyback rides, shared umbrellas in the rain, and, if the heavens allowed, a single chaste kiss under the stars. But more than just being PG-rated, these dramas felt real. They mirrored everyday life in Korea, studying for the civil service exam, working at a tteokbokki stall to pay off debt, dealing with fussy in-laws who acted like minor royals. They reflected the dreams, anxieties, and cultural nuances that only made sense if you lived them, or loved someone who did. And the thing is, they weren't trying to be universal. They were unapologetically Korean, written by Koreans, for Koreans, full of inside jokes, etiquette codes, and emotional cadences that didn't always translate. And they didn't have to. You weren't supposed to understand every reference. You were supposed to feel it. Yes, there were critics. Some found them too slow, too sentimental, too dramatic. They called them unrealistic, emotionally excessive, and drenched in melodrama. But that was never the point. These dramas weren't made to please everyone. They didn't bend over backwards for mass approval. And in doing so, they struck something deeper, a cultural heartbeat you couldn't fake. They weren't perfect, but in their imperfection, they were beautiful. Still, even the most beloved recipes can go stale. By the mid-2010, younger viewers began to crave something new. The formulas were feeling tired, the twists too familiar. And just as Korean dramas were teetering on the edge of change, Netflix came. Before Netflix, international fans had to work for their K-drama fix. You were hunting for fan subs on sketchy websites, dodging malware like bullets, and praying that your favorite show got licensed on Viki or Drama Fever. Then came Netflix. Boom! And suddenly, K-dramas were everywhere. Your mom was watching, your roommate, your barista, even that coworker who only binges documentaries and survival shows is now watching that latest Netflix K-drama that was just released yesterday. Maybe it was a feel-good rom-com like Crash Landing on You. Maybe it was a bloody survival fest like All of Us Are Dead. Or maybe, let's be honest, it was Squid Game. Either way, the world was officially hooked. That show didn't just go viral, it hijacked the global consciousness. Squid Game wasn't just another Netflix hit, it was a cultural reckoning. The moment it dropped, it tore through every algorithm, every continent, and every conversation. Within days, it became the most watched show in Netflix history, clocking in over 1.24 billion viewing hours. Let that sink in. That's more time than humans have spent watching some entire franchises, combined. But the real story? It wasn't just the numbers, it was the phenomenon. Suddenly, everyone was speaking the same language, a deadly version of red light, green light. A haunting lullaby.
두 번째 게임은 설탕 뽑기입니다. 선택하신 모양은 여러분이 뽑아야 할 모양입니다.
좋겠다.
The terrifying pop of dalgona candy breaking in slow motion. And everywhere you looked, pink jumpsuits. The guards' uniforms, once just a costume on set, became a global symbol overnight. By Halloween, they were everywhere. At parties, schools, subway stations, people dressed as guards, players, even the giant killer doll. And TikTok? Oh, trust us, Squid Game is everywhere. Millions tried the Dalgona challenge, holding their breath as they scraped sugar with needles. YouTubers hosted bootleg Squid Game competitions with cash prizes. Restaurants started selling Dalgona, that old-school Korean street snack you'd normally find for a few coins outside an elementary school. Escape rooms popped up with Squid Game themes. Even Saturday Night Live, the most Western of Western TV institutions, spoofed it. That's when you knew. This wasn't just a hit. Squid Game had landed, and it wasn't leaving. And just like that, Korean dramas, once the beloved secret of devoted fandoms, were no longer niche. And here's the kicker, it wasn't a one-off. Squid Game didn't just break records, it cracked open the ceiling and rewrote the blueprint. What came next was an avalanche of Netflix originals. K-dramas weren't just trending, they were transforming the streaming landscape. And back in Korea, it was a culture shock. Something once seen as soft power export, like kimchi and K-pop, was now global cultural capital, a full-on obsession. But this wasn't just about global virality or representation. This was a creative revolution. Netflix didn't just write checks, they gave Korean creators final cut. No more tiptoeing around conservative broadcast standards, no more squeezing into 16-episode slots, no more waiting for a 10 p.m. airtime slot after the news. They said, make what you want, how you want, and we'll stream it everywhere. Kim Yoon-hee, who created Kingdom, a blood-soaked Joseon-era zombie epic, called working with Netflix liberating. She finally got to bring her vision to life, decapitated royalty and all, without a single censor's red pen. That kind of freedom? It was unheard of. And it sparked something. Writers stopped recycling tired tropes, rich heir meets poor girl, second lead syndrome, you know the drill, and started pitching nightmares and dreamscapes. We got The 8 Show, where contestants climb floors in a psychological game for money. 1 part Squid Game, 1 part Black Mirror, all tension. Hellbound, a hellfire sermon in the form of a supernatural horror, where sin is punished by smoky monsters ripping you to shreds in public. Parasite. The Grey, a dark sci-fi thriller where alien organisms invade humans, turning them into sleek killing machines. Sweet Home, where grief manifests into grotesque monsters. And the romance? Netflix gave it room to grow up and glow up. My liberation notes made loneliness feel sacred. Crash Course in Romance turned a math tutor into a love battlefield for middle-aged singles, bringing warmth, awkwardness, and surprisingly sharp commentary on South Korea's education pressure cooker. Love to Hate You flipped the playbook with feminist punchlines, a no-nonsense female lead, and a male protagonist who finally wasn't emotionally constipated. These weren't just dramas. They were genre experiments, socio-cultural critiques, and emotional roller coasters, all at once. Not every fresh K-drama you think of was a Netflix original, but Netflix gave producers and writers the freedom to take risks. Even if their shows didn't do great on traditional Korean TV, or with local viewers, they knew Netflix fans worldwide could still catch and love their dramas. But here's the hot take. In going global, did K-dramas lose a piece of their soul? Because behind the splashy headlines, the billion-won budgets, and the endless Netflix top 10s, there's a quieter, more uncomfortable truth. Somewhere in the race to go global, K-dramas started to lose what made them feel Korean. Netflix gave K-dramas freedom. Yes, more money, more reach. And that led to some unforgettable gems like Move to Heaven, Daily Dose of Sunshine, and The Glory. Stories that carried emotional weight while still landing with global audiences. But here's the issue. For every one of those, there are more dramas slowly letting go of what made the genre special. Because now, the unspoken rule among newer producers is, if you want to survive, or better yet, go viral, your audience has to be international. And that mindset, it reshapes everything. Suddenly, the quiet, deeply local stories fade into the background. Gone are the sweet tales about family dinners, struggling students, or first loves blooming during exam season. In their place, we get 6-episode thrillers with global pacing and Hollywood ambition, fast, dark, and loud. These shows are designed to hit fast and burn bright. But something gets lost in the speed. Once upon a time, K-dramas gave us 16 episodes. 16 hours to fall in love, to grieve, to grow with the characters, to slowly peel back layers of trauma, build real connections, let a romance simmer. Now, You get 6 to 8 episodes, barely enough time for a second act, let alone a proper emotional payoff. We get plots that move fast, but characters that feel thin. Drama that shocks but doesn't stay with you. Stories that sprint to a twisty finale but never give you a moment to just breathe. And yeah, some of these shows still hit the mark. They're exciting, addictive, beautifully produced. But they also start to feel manufactured, familiar, safe in a very specific algorithm-approved way. The trauma feels rushed, the pain doesn't linger, the binge ends in one night, and the memory fades by morning. And here's something we can't ignore. More and more K-dramas now throw in graphic scenes with nudity, sex, and violence. Not because the story really needs it, but because that's what grabs attention these days. It's like the writers got the memo. Make it hotter, make it darker, make it viral. But where's the buildup? The emotional depth? The slow, meaningful moments that made us feel something real? Instead, we get quick flashes of steamy scenes or shocking violence that feel forced. More clickbait than storytelling. Just because they can show it doesn't mean they should. And fans are starting to speak up. They're saying, this isn't what we came here for. Many international viewers first fell in love with K-dramas because they were different from Western shows. No over-the-top sex scenes, no gratuitous gore, just slow-burn romances, emotional storytelling, and cultural warmth. It felt refreshing, wholesome, comforting. Now, a lot of them are asking, where did that magic go? We're losing the sweet, resonant dramas, the ones that weren't made to go viral but found their way into our hearts anyway. Where are the shows like Reply 1988, where nothing major happens, yet everything matters? Or My Mister, which didn't need flashy villains because the real enemy was loneliness? Even something like Coffee Prince, a simple cafe love story that gave us characters with depth, dignity, and dreams. Or Because This Is My First Life, with its oddly practical marriage plot that turned into an achingly beautiful exploration of love, survival, and self-worth. And let's not forget Weightlifting Fairy Kim Bok-ju, a coming-of-age rom-com that was as much about friendship, family, and self-acceptance as it was about romance. These stories were never chasing international trends. They were rooted, fiercely, in Korean culture. And yet they resonated everywhere. We even lost the familiar rhythm. 2 episodes a week. The anticipation, the joy of texting your friend mid-episode because, oh my god, did you see that? The communal experience of waiting, hoping, crying, together. Streaming gave us convenience, but it took something sacred in return. Even the endings have changed, where K-dramas once wrapped things up in a neat, bittersweet bow. Now, it's cliffhangers, teasers, franchise bait, not because the story needs more, but because the platform demands it. The self-contained, emotionally satisfying journey of 16 episodes is being replaced by the Western-style open ending, a pitch for a second season, not a proper goodbye. And the creators, they're under immense pressure. The money's bigger, but so are the demands. Tighter timelines, multilingual scripts, international appeal. They're no longer just making a drama for Seoul. They're making it for San Francisco, Singapore, São Paulo, all at once. But in chasing global success, something precious began to fade. Creators start asking, will this go viral? Before asking, is this story honest? And sometimes that kills the story altogether. Because when you try to appeal to everyone, you risk resonating with no one. And it doesn't help that Netflix is doing a less than great job when it comes to translation. Fluent Korean speakers have pointed out how often subtitles miss key cultural nuances, flattening emotional complexity, or stripping dialogue of its original meaning. What was once a poignant, culturally specific moment gets reduced to something generic and overly simplified, just to make it more digestible. It's not just about words getting lost, it's about meaning getting lost. Tone, emotion, subtext, all the stuff that makes a drama hit deep, gone. And in a way, that's the perfect metaphor for what's happening overall. Netflix isn't just mistranslating the dialogue, it's mistranslating the soul of K-dramas. It's as if the platform is trying to make everything globally palatable, and in doing so, scrubbing away the very flavor that made it special. So yes, Netflix put K-dramas on the global map, made them household names, and gave us some unforgettable masterpieces. But the question remains, can K-dramas stay global without losing what made them deeply Korean to begin with? It's like trading a handwritten love letter for a tweet that gets 1 million likes. Sure, it's viral, but does it move you? And if you're wondering whether your favorite actors are still bringing that original K-drama magic, click this video right here to find out which of the actors you love made it to the top 100 most talented Korean drama stars.